So what are the worst hobbies in the world?
Yeah, so you said like running, meditating, hiking is one. Hiking is worse than running, definitely. Those you can compare. There are some cases where you can compare.
This is an extremely contrarian view. Making the best open source model is not about making the model that kills all the benchmarks. It's about making the most general model that developers can add to and then create good models from.
No, it's interesting. This is financial advice, by the way.
If you have great ambitions, then every good decision should lead to some kind of exponential. Like, it's never enough to be on a linear path. I'm unsure how I should make this intro though, because you already appeared on the pod. Like it's not. I don't know if
old news.
Old news. Should I like assume that people watch the old pod or not? I don't know. Okay,
Do people generally watch pods from the start? Like if you start a new pod, I never do that.
Probably not. No, you watch from the latest, and then if you get interested, you go down the list, I guess.
Yes. And so, you assume that like the worst guests are the first, because then you couldn't have any cool guests.
Yes.
Right? The cheapest ones.
So I have the cheapest one with me today. The first ever guest on the pod, Axel, and my very good friend and co-founder. And I thought we would make another episode. Now it's the 10th episode, so maybe Axel every modulo 10 or something like that would be a great idea. And I think we don't have like a super strict topic this time. We just, like last time we spoke about the AI verticals and stuff, but this time I think we should just like speak freely about some of the, I guess, like lunch discussions that we have had at Andon Labs recently.
Our hot takes, or maybe not hot takes, but our takes.
Our medium hot takes.
Lukewarm takes.
Our lukewarm takes. So I think one thing that we spoke about yesterday, which I found interesting, because we both had our siblings ask us for like advice, which I feel like it feels a bit weird to be in the position of being asked advice now, because I was always on the other side. We have siblings, and they asked, AI is a big deal. I've heard someone said, I think that the Dario guy is hyping it a bit. What should I do? And it's not hard. It's not easy, and I think like we even are not super sure that what we do is like for sure the best strategy, but we have some kind of heuristic. So what did you respond?
Yeah, I think just first, before we go into that, I just thought now that it's a difficult topic, because to me it feels so high stakes. Like in a normal world when I don't think that, or where I wouldn't think that AGI would arrive, then it wouldn't feel that important. Like I would probably think that whatever they do, they would end up in a good place. I'm sure they will end up in like a great place, whatever my advice is. But it still feels like you can actually pick the right ones. Maybe a bit. Yeah, it's just like the negative consequences of picking a bad one would be really bad. Maybe. But going into sorry, what do you have?
No, I was just like, that is true. I guess dependent on what your PDUM is or whatever, or maybe not even. Like maybe even in the like P utopia scenario, the stakes are higher. Or is that true? Maybe no, that's not true though, because then like in the P utopia thing, you would probably have some UBI, and everyone would be super.
Yeah, but I still have my take that it will be pretty good to accumulate, or like to be well off when AGI starts to hit.
Why is that?
Because I think if you have capital, then it will just accelerate faster, and like the differences will be greater. And I still think that you would compare yourself to the ones that have the most. I think there will be like everyone will have UBI, and I'm sure everyone will be pretty good off. Like you can do whatever you want, and you won't have to starve or anything, but you would still know that there is some kind of elite or some kind of people who actually were really well off with AGI. And I think humans will just keep comparing like we do today, and wish they were up there. And you probably have more chance to affect or to change the world in a direction you want if you are in that group of people. So that's probably what I think. I'm not sure if you agree or
Yeah,
do you?
my immediate reaction is just like, oh, the return, like the classic curve where like the happiness level versus happiness level on the y-axis, and then you have on the x-axis you have income, and it's kind of like a log thing, not even log, like it actually the difference between I think like 75K a year and like double that is basically zero, and so my immediate reaction is that maybe this tells you that it wouldn't, because everyone would be above the threshold where additional capital wouldn't make you happier. However, I'm not sure that this world, the function basically, this like f of x, where x is the money and f of x is the happiness. I don't like. I guess the model of the world would be different when we have this, and maybe it's still like a log curve where like there's diminishing returns, but it never plateaus basically. I'm not sure if this is true though, but I guess like if you go to like Maslow's pyramid, like everyone will have their base level covered, so that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But then there will be like
unless the scales shift, so like there are new things that you would need to consider, like the bottom ticked off basically, because you like your society's minds shift on what's important, or like
yeah, but
what
the
you
base
need.
layer is like, do you have food for the day?
Okay,
Like
fair.
yes, you will have food for the day.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, but okay, yeah. If I'm sure that there will be differences in the topper, like the fulfillment layer. Like if here you can actually have society changing what is considered being like, or not. Maybe society doesn't change what is being considered fulfilled, but like the requirements, like the capital requirements for getting fulfilled will increase, and then like the differences will be super huge.
Probably.
Something like that.
But I
Yeah.
think I think money might not be like the most important. I think it's just a means to an end in the AGI case. So what you want to ensure is that you can have some level of impact on the world, or change the world in some direction, which would feel kind of difficult if you are on the same level as anyone else.
Yeah. Okay, so given that stakes are high, what did you tell your sibling?
Oh, I think a very quick and like easy advice is just go into hardware that scales as AI is used more. That I'm pretty sure will continue to be needed. So power, chips, things like that, like things that for sure will be required more of when you use AI more. I think that's like a very, very easy bet. And I think it's not easy. It's not easy to maybe find the winners there. I think that's maybe like what you need to do. You need to pick like either start a company if you want, or join a winner. Maybe it's not super clear who the winners are, because some companies might just not have the organizational be effective enough to scale in a way that's needed to supply all the new chips or power. But yeah, picking one in those areas seems like a pretty solid bet, I think.
I guess it's similar to I had Mark on the pod on episode 8, I think, or 7 or something like that, and his the pod was about like investment for AGI, and I guess it's similar here, like, but instead of being a rich person that allocates their money into investing in some company, it's like you're a young person that where do you invest your time, and then the points kind of translate over. Like if his point was basically AGI is coming in, but AGI also needs stuff like power, like the grid needs to work, you need power, you need chips, all of this, and then working in those areas is but you invest your time instead of your money.
You invest
that's probably true.
Your intelligence while it matters.
While it matters. Yeah. I guess it's also like it's hard though, because it depends on who you are to some extent. Like if you did software, maybe it's harder to be in nuclear power or something.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean,
I
a
think
nuclear power plant also need software engineers, I guess.
yeah, I think so. I think it's also, yeah, I hope that doesn't make people not want to go into those fields if you have only the software skills. I think you can definitely learn. Maybe it's tough to get like an entry level role where they are really strict with the requirements, but I think being excited about something and learning about it, I think you can learn any topic. So I hope just because you have done software, you don't feel like you have to become a programmer.
Mm.
I think that would be some advice also.
Yeah. Were you comfortable giving advice? Do you think
Uh,
do you think you're qualified?
um, good question. I would of course take it with a huge grain of salt. If you believe in the underlying premise that AGI is coming, then I think it's like I think I have maybe some advice that maybe even in like the AGI discussion circles aren't that controversial. I think this take about going into hardware is, as you said, with investment
Yep.
is kind of standard.
Yep.
Yeah, and advising, yeah, I think that's like it feels pretty solid with just that advice. But
Mm.
then there are other areas maybe that's more difficult.
What other
Like
things did you tell him?
oh, um, yeah. What did I say? I mean, software. If we talk about that for a bit, like if you were just wanted to go into pure software, um, then it becomes more difficult. I think there will be definitely some software winners, like some companies that are pure software, and that will be huge winners. So I definitely wouldn't say or like give advice that don't jump on a software company because it will definitely not work. I think there will be some cases where you would have like new unicorns or even bigger companies. I mean, OpenAI is like a software company, right? So I think you will definitely have some winners. I think picking the winners will be much harder than in hardware.
Because there will be fewer of them, or
I think yeah, it will be less. It will be more of a power law.
yeah,
Who will win?
yeah, yeah, I agree with this. In hardware, it's probably so the like the demand or like the supply will probably be so low compared to the demand that like everyone just gets to sell what they have, and everyone will to some extent win a bit. But in software, like the people that build AGI, they will win big, and they will probably eat the lunch of many others. So that's yeah, that's one thing. I think yeah, it's hard like because the sibling I gave advice to, I have two younger sisters, and only one of them asked me advice, but
But you
she's like
give it to everyone. You give to everyone. You don't care that much if they asked for it or not.
yes, that is true. Um, but she's in not that much into hardware, so like I couldn't really give that advice. She's an engineer in software. What I became a bit like not super comfortable because it was, yes, like you said in the beginning, like the stakes are higher now than usual, and I feel like when you give advice, you someone you might feel bad afterwards if that led to some really bad decision, but like if it led to a good decision, I don't know, like I wouldn't take credit for that. Like so
No.
from my side, it's like I wouldn't take credit if I gave good advice, but I would feel bad if I gave bad advice. So basically the incentive for me is to give like very safe advice that will not lead to a bad outcome. But like the this is counterintuitive because my number one advice is probably take more risk. So I'm like incentivized to give safe advice while my number one advice is to take more risk.
Yeah, like I'm not sure. Do you really feel like you wouldn't, or would you not even feel like an internal sense of like, yeah, okay, I'm happy I gave this advice if something goes really well?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't take credit
Yeah.
for.
Okay.
I definitely
Yeah.
wouldn't take
Fair.
credit for it in public,
Okay.
or even say it to anyone. But I would be like, okay, yeah, maybe my advice was like somewhat useful.
I guess, but I think there's two components to it. It's like one, it's I made someone happy, or like I contributed to someone being happy. But the other one is just like the satisfaction of me making a good prediction and I don't really need to articulate the advice out loud to get that component, I guess. But but yeah. When it's also like it depends. Like it's hard to know what people are driven by, even if they tell you, because it's not really like it's not for sure that that's true. But yeah, but basically what I ended up doing instead of like giving direct advice is just like I don't feel comfortable giving direct advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing, and and then you can infer your what you should do with that. And so maybe you go into that. If what are like given our worldview, what are we doing to, and then maybe our siblings can listen to this and get infer advice from it.
Yeah.
So one
what
by
are
one,
we doing?
one thing you start. One thing you're doing because of AI future.
Yeah. So on like a more business oriented level, and also a very high level, is so I'm betting that the labs are going to be huge, and that I will take some share of that value, and their value will just grow. So then my share will also just grow. So scale with the labs, scale with the capabilities of the models.
Yeah. And how do you do this? I mean, I know, but for the audience.
Startup, co-founder, and on labs. Build evals for the labs.
Yeah. So our business model basically is so that our customers are the labs, and then it's actually a really nice, like when people ask what you do, and you like, yeah, we make evals, but then you don't like, it's very different to make evals for the models as a service to the labs compared to like make evals for some company that has a vertical and they need to evaluate their agent framework or like agent implementation for that vertical. It's very, very different, right? So I think it's like it's a very good explanation of what we do, to say our customers are not enterprises, or like primarily not enterprises. Our customers are the labs. So
sure.
yeah, that's interesting.
I have one more, but I can take it after yours.
Okay. Okay. I do a couple. I mean, I do also the thing that you just said. I think one thing I do also is, and I know we both do, is that we take very well care of each other, or ourselves. I mean, like we both exercise a lot, we sleep a lot, we prioritize not aging too fast, basically, because like if AI, like I think in Dario's essay, Machines of Love and Grace, he predicts that the next 10 years will be in biology research will be worth like 100 non-AI years or something like that. And I think in 100 non-AI years, we're probably going to see significant advancement in like slowing of age. And maybe we get like, you can actually reverse age, but let's assume we don't. You can like slow your age really, really much in 10 years. And I'm like 26 now, so then I would be 36. I think there could be a big difference between like, if I freeze my age at 36, if it's like a 36-year-old that didn't take care of himself, or a 36-year-old that exercised, slept, and all of this, I think that's huge, because that's the body you're going to be left with for a long time if we succeed in slowing age. Yeah. So that's one thing I do.
I want to just say that maybe you could turn that argument around and say that because you will have all those amazing like biology treatments and everything, you can now, or actually you can do it later also, but you can go crazy now because you can fix it later. But maybe that will be. I think it's not a risk worth taking.
Yeah, I guess the bet here is that it's much, much, much easier to slow aging rather than actually stop, or like actually go back in time.
Yeah.
Which I think is a reasonable one, but I'm not a biologist, so I don't want to.
It sounds reasonable, and I don't know if my argument made sense even now that I think about it. But yeah, I think it
does. Like if you can actually reverse aging and all the bad decisions that you made, then surely you don't really have to take care of yourself if you don't want to. Like I would want to anyway, but
yeah, there are a lot of other nice side effects of taking good care of yourself.
Yeah. What's another thing you do?
It's a thing I did. So I quit consulting. And this we talked a bit about also, like a huge market right now. Obviously, I think everyone heard that like Accenture has crazy amounts of revenue from AI consulting. I think other consulting companies too as well. And it's probably a good bet for now, but I think it's gonna be really crowded. I think it is like, the sort of, it's an easy play right now because everyone needs AI, but there's also the risk that, this is like exactly the type of intellectual work that needs, like you just need intelligence, and what do you get from AI? You get intelligence. So it feels pretty certain that wouldn't really exist in the same form as today. I think some forms of consulting will definitely exist because it has other advantages of taking in external people into your company, but just implementing AI, feels both like it will be super crowded. It already is super crowded, and might be replaced and doesn't scale with model capabilities, except like in the short term.
Yeah. And also, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm not an expert on this, but it's not an exponential thing. Like, I think this might be wrong, but like, if you have great ambitions, then every good decision should lead to some kind of exponential. Like, it's never enough to be on a linear path. You have to be an exponential if you're going to get somewhere. And consulting is it that? I guess to some extent you can like find your co-founder at McKinsey or whatever, but it's what do you say?
It is. I totally agree. I think one like very simplistic but fun way to say or to mention it is like, okay, so if you're a trader, if you want to make 10x the money, you just press another zero on your trade on how much you want to buy. But if you're a consultant and you want to 10x your money, you need to work 10 times more hours.
Press another zero. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Next. Okay. So my turn, I guess. So I'm not doing a PhD, which I think I would definitely, or I was going to do a PhD before I got AGI pilled. And now it feels very strange to commit 5 years or whatever time it takes to anything because like the world is moving 10 times faster, and then like in the old world committing to a 50-year endeavor seems crazy, and now I feel like that's as crazy as committing 5 years to something now. So that's one thing I'm not doing. I also don't think that's an exponential. Going back to that, well, I've never done it, so I shouldn't say. I should, like, people talk about like you get research taste and stuff like this. These words they appealed to me. I was like, I want to be a person with research taste. That sounds amazing, but I don't think those words are appealing, but not that appealing.
And at this point, I think you probably get them faster if you work with AI research, which now happens in private companies.
Yeah, probably. So... Yeah, and it's also like, I think when I was at Google for an internship, I spoke to a bunch of like DeepMind people. I was like, I want to be a research scientist at DeepMind or whatever. And they said like, yeah, it's a good idea to make a PhD because you can be a research engineer at DeepMind, but you can't really be a research scientist without a PhD. And I feel like that has changed so much. We have a friend, me and Axel, who dropped out of high school, and he's a research scientist at OpenAI now, or maybe he's a research engineer. But like the titles really don't matter that much anymore. I feel like in these AI labs.
Definitely, yeah, that's the impression I have as well. It's just your skill, basically, and your ambition, which is good.
Yes, I think that's the way to go. Mm-hmm. Do you have another thing you do?
Oh, a third.
I know one thing you do.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I don't know if you did it, but you talked about it. Lock in like a high high interest on like a loan or something, because
yeah.
should we cut that out, or is
No,
that...
no, no. It's interesting. This is financial advice, by the way. Well, yeah, actually, I think now in the end, maybe I didn't lock it in, so we'll see how that goes. But maybe without talking about advice on what to do, I think what people are thinking about regarding interest rates is that when we become the standard way to look at it in like economics is that, okay, you become much more productive, then you can do more with less resources or the same amount of resources, and then you can get a lot more, then you will just get higher returns. And if you get higher returns, you want to invest more, and then capital becomes more expensive, and capital becomes more expensive is equal to higher interest rates. So if we think that AGI will increase productivity with like 100x, then interest rates will go up, is the thinking. And there might be a lot of there are probably a lot of like second, third order effects here that we're ignoring that will change this maybe, but that's the reasoning.
So if I understand you correctly, like AGI is going to have a lot of great, crazy idea that will turn money into even more money. But like to get started, they need to buy a factory or whatever, and then the amount of money we have now will not be enough to fulfill all the great ideas that AI is going to have. And then to loan money will be harder because there will be more people that want to loan money because we have so many great ideas
I think that's
to use the money.
Yeah. I think so. So lock in the interest rates.
Not financial advice.
Not financial
this
advice.
show is for entertainment and what do they say? Entertainment and educational purposes only. Yes. Now we have said it. Although I'm going to cut this and then add this is financial advice to the start of the episode.
Amazing.
to make Andon Lab go under in zoos.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I took that from a really funny tweet, which I saw. It was like, I don't know. I don't know who it was, but it was some Twitter finance guy who was like, hey guys, you gotta invest in this stock now. Like, do it within 30 minutes. You will see why this is true. This is financial advice. Like, do it. And then 30 minutes up, the stock went up a lot because of I think it was like a pharma company that did like a clinical trial. So he had some insider info. I think that sounds super illegal. But
it sounds super illegal.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds like something you're not really supposed to do.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Yeah.
What other things? Yeah, one thing also related to, so maybe direct advice to my sister. I'm not like we spoke last episode, or like episode 1, about AI verticals, how we don't think they will be the software winners. We spoke earlier about like there will be very few software winners. Some of them will be really big, but they're the ones that seem like semi-big, they will probably go down to 0. And I think AI verticals is not something I would go into, basically. And so that's another thing I'm not doing. I don't know if this list is more what am I not doing rather than what am I doing. But so that's, and then also like I'm having fun. I don't know, like I don't know if like the doom scenarios are true. I don't know, or like if you don't succeed in being fulfilled after AGI or something, this might be the last 5 years or whatever where you can feel fulfilled. And maybe we have some like TikTok addiction thing, just AI that, and yeah, I'm prioritizing having fun at least, and like following curiosity, and I think we are both, and it's amazing.
Definitely. And if you are working a lot, make sure you work on something that scales with with model capabilities. It might be a good idea to work a lot even now also. But yeah, having fun is, you always do good work when you're having fun. So.
And also one thing I'm doing, so I applied for a green card to the United States. I think there's I can't tell you how, but I think I have a gut feeling that will be a good decision. Like there could, like, in the AGI takeover scenario, I feel like having the option to choose between the US and Europe is a good option to have. And maybe it's the AI, like, nuclear war scenario where you don't want to be in the US because, I don't know, China and China, like DeepSeek AI is like nuking OpenAI AI and it's all over the place, and then I can choose Europe. Or maybe it's like the utopia where everyone who's associated with the United States gets UBI of like billions of dollars, and then it's good to be a US citizen. So yeah, applying for green card is another thing I have as a goal and what I'm doing.
If you, by that logic, should you try to apply for like a Chinese equivalent as well, just for the optionality?
Maybe I should. Can you? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I guess you can.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's they have a short. I'm not a social scientist here, but I understand that they have like a labor, like a problem with their population curve where they don't have enough young people. So maybe they would accept me.
Maybe, yeah. But I think it's also, yeah, maybe it's not that difficult. Like there's a Taleb says that like it's clear who's winning in the world because you just need to look at the lines outside the consulates of different countries. And you see everyone is lined up for the US consulate. Yeah. No one is lined up for the Chinese. So that tells you about who's winning in the world.
I haven't been to the Chinese consulate to look. So,
okay.
But maybe you have.
Actually, I haven't. Maybe we should do it. But my gut feeling is that there isn't like a long line of people anywhere in the Europe, at least, that's lining up for getting a Chinese visa.
Yeah, I feel like there is some slight simplification here that we're overlooking, but like I said, we're not social scientists, so I guess move on.
Really? Don't you think don't you think that, I mean, overall people definitely don't want to go to China because China is like authoritarian, but the US is like amazing economic opportunity.
Yeah, well.
And people don't speak Chinese, which is also a slight problem.
Yes, but I mean, I don't speak Chinese. That has zero influence on whether China will win the AI race.
Okay, yeah, maybe I think I'm maybe talking about two things at once. So it's, yeah, if you're just looking at it from who will win the AGI race, yeah, then it doesn't really matter. If it's more like where would you rather want to be in the world?
Yeah, then I agree. Yeah. Then I agree. But I think there's like a big difference now when AI might be developed at a Chinese company, and then I don't think so, but it might be, and then optionality, like you said.
But would you really want to live in like authoritarian AI, like that's like a doom scenario, you know?
Well, I don't know, living in a palace and having all the money in the world, I don't know. Yeah, probably not. My friend or our friend sent, I don't know if this is a good if this is relevant, but another Taleb quote, which was something like, everyone who thinks that employment is slavery is either blind or employed. And maybe it's like the same with like living in the Chinese AI utopia. Like everyone who doesn't want to live in the AI utopia in China, they don't. And like maybe that could be something.
Yeah, probably. And if you know it, it's not gonna be great.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. My intuition is that I would rather live in a democracy for sure.
Good.
Hobbies is another thing. You wrote a blog post about this recently. I
Yes.
strongly believe that hobbies will be way more important in the future. So that's one thing. Maybe I don't do as much as I should now, picking up fun hobbies, but maybe there's time afterwards. What is your take on hobbies?
Oh, yes. So first, yeah, it's true. Like we and me as well, maybe don't spend that much time doing hobbies, maybe spending like more time thinking about hobbies. Like what? So basically, I
I
wrote,
think
yeah, sorry.
I think what our work is kind of like a hobby. So
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So what I did, I wrote like a short blog post about what makes a good hobby. And the TLDR version is that um, I wouldn't want to rank specific. I will rank hobbies, but what we were thinking about, me and my girlfriend Karin. So we were discussing the fact that okay, people spend a lot of time consuming, just watching, doom scrolling or watching TV series, and all those things. Like they aren't maybe inherently bad, but there seems like there could be some things or some framework that categorizes things that are better. So what we came up with is that you have like a Venn diagram of three circles. Everything that lies outside is consuming, but then in these circles or these different circles are then you can do something that is creating. So creating something that didn't exist in the world before. You can an example of that is building an app that didn't exist. Or I know you like this one, the sourdough loaf. You bake something, uh, and the second one is sharing. So share an experience or something with others. So like you publish your app on the App Store, or you eat your bread with your friends or family, whatever. And then the final one is I think I ended up calling it progressing. So developing yourself, becoming better at something. So the idea is that if you have one thing, so for example, creating an app, it's a good hobby if, or actually, let's start with consuming. So you can have TikTok, so you just consume an app. I would definitely rank creating an app as a better hobby than just scrolling TikTok. I think most people agree with this.
What is your optimization metric?
Optimization metric, how do you mean?
Optimization metric. Why is it better?
Oh, so yeah, so that's an interesting discussion. I think for me that's more philosophical, and I think this ties down to my like philosophical framework of what I think I want to do as a human, like why I exist. And this is I think this is
an axiom. It's not. It doesn't depend on other philosophies.
Exactly. It's just take it at face value.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where it can differ between people. I think my analysis is maybe it's not fully developed in my head, but I think my short view on things is that I want to create something that didn't exist before, and something that can be useful for others and that can bring joy to myself when I do it. So just making the world more interesting, more fun, more rich in things. That's what I want to do. So creating something better than not creating something.
Right. So they were creating, sharing, and progressing.
Yeah.
Those are the pillars of a good hobby. And if they have two, that's better than having one. If they have all three, that's like the perfect hobby.
Yes.
But I guess then it's not binary. They could be sharing with more people or just one person. Does that matter?
I don't think I have a strict opinion. No.
On progressing, surely that's not binary. Like you can progress a little bit, but it's better to progress a lot, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I agree with most of this. The thing I don't agree with, or like I guess it depends on how you frame it. When you say like a good hobby, I agree that if you have these three, that is probably something that will lead to more happiness. I think, okay, so the sharing one is the one I have not problems with, but I don't fully agree with. Because I think sharing, yes, it gives you joy. Yes, it's kind of like a wholesome thing, and maybe it's the optimization. If you want to optimize joy from a utilitarian perspective across the globe, then you should push for more hobbies that where you share, because then more people will be happy. I agree with this. However, from like an egoistic perspective, if I were to develop a hobby that is like good for me, I think it's actually better to have one where I don't rely on other people to be happy. So if I can have a hobby where I can do it whenever, I don't need some specific time of day. I don't need to be among other people. I can just do it whenever, and I get happy by this. This is more valuable than having a hobby where you have to have all of these external factors, like having another person there to share it with. So that's
yeah, I think that's interesting, and it like comes down to the philosophical view of what you think, or what you think is important to do as a human. Like I think it's maybe useless is maybe a bit harsh, but why do you do something that's just for yourself?
You can still progress. You can
you can progress, sure,
you can you get happiness from it.
But if it's just you internally, like let's say if you draw it to the extreme, if you just do things your whole life without sharing anything with anyone else.
Yeah, but still, like I am happy. Like I am happy. I can exist in a vacuum, being happy.
Yes,
but you don't.
Sorry.
So if what do you like if you're like God and you you want to optimize? So I think like from a utilitarian perspective, then it's like increase the sum of the happiness and of every person. And if every person manages to get happy by themselves, that counts as well. But then maybe you see it more like a network, or
I think I see it as I want to act upon the world, and not just me as an individual being happy. Like I don't think it would seem that valuable. I think it would seem more valuable if I can act on the world, impact the world, like external to me, than just being happy in like a vacuum.
Agree to disagree.
And I think I mean this. I could change my mind on this. I would love to keep exploring this and like read more about this.
One hobby. So maybe one like reason why I started to look for holes in in your reasoning is that, like I enjoy meditation, and meditation it's I guess a bit progressive, but you're not creating anything, you're not sharing anything. But maybe like you meditate, you become like a calmer, better, friendlier person, and then in your interactions in the rest of your day, then you're a better person. Would you count that as sharing? I don't know, maybe.
I think no, I wouldn't. I think it's a good point, because I should say that I definitely do those things as well, and I think you need to do some of those things. But if you were to rank hobbies, if you were to like, I would say that that's kind of a bad hobby if that's what you do.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
Yeah.
But you go out running.
Exactly.
You run a lot. That's the same. That's a bad hobby then.
It's a bad hobby, yeah. I think it would be better if I just were to do running. Maybe this is like a way, like maybe I'm drawing it to the extreme too much. But if I were to just do running, then I think that would be a bad hobby. It would be a better hobby if I were to like organize some sort of run club, run with others, do more challenging runs.
Okay, maybe. But I think there's some problem with your framework if one of like running is probably the hobby you do the most in your life, and surely there's a problem in your framework if the number one hobby you do is considered a bad hobby.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I think
it's also not
I would
consuming,
consider,
right?
No, it's not.
So like, doesn't your framework assume that everything is not? Oh, it's progressing. Yeah, okay. Is it really though?
Sometimes.
Like, are you running to progress, to be faster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. or to be more, or to be faster, or actually, yeah, it's faster or remain at the level I am at right now.
Yeah, and
so
then it's not progressing, and it's not creating, and it's not sharing.
Yeah.
It's not consuming.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's, yeah, I would say it falls outside the circles, definitely. I think maybe I need to rename consuming. In some sense, I consume the outdoors. Then maybe, yeah,
fair.
But it falls in that category, and maybe then consuming is not the right word for it. But it's outside the circles, and I think the difficulty lies in comparing different hobbies, like comparing hobbies that are totally different. I think what's easy is to compare different variations of running. Like when you add different elements to it, then I can definitely say that running difficult runs and progressing is better than just doing easy runs. Like that comparison works. It's more difficult to say, yeah, running is a worse hobby than building an app and sharing it with others.
True. Yeah. So what are the worst hobbies in the world?
Yeah, so you said like running, meditating, hiking is one. Hiking is worse than running, definitely. Those you can compare. There are some cases where you can compare.
This is an extremely contrarian view. Like rank the worst hobbies. Meditation, running, hiking.
Yes.
That's a very contrarian view.
All terrible hobbies. I hope that's not like what we just do when AGI hits. Like, wouldn't that be kind of sad? Like if everyone were to be doing that, it would seem kind of boring.
I don't agree. Like I think meditation, running, and hiking are amazing hobbies.
Yeah, they are.
You get hiking, like I guess consuming the nature, but like I think it's so I can't put my finger on it, but it's like it's beautiful consuming nature, like getting just the awe of how beautiful nature is. This is amazing. And then meditation is also once again I can't really put my finger on it, but there's something there, and
it is beautiful. It is amazing, and you get a lot of happiness from it. So I definitely don't disagree with that. I just hope that we at least everyone does maybe some hobby that has some of these circles.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do like a short form clip of you saying that those three are the worst hobbies, and I've heard someone said that infuriating content drives clicks. So that's that.
I'm glad to contribute to it. Get hate.
Yeah.
You can write to me on X if you don't agree or want to send the hate messages. Yeah, but like it's also difficult because you can definitely rank stuff within the like the buckets, and the framework doesn't really help with that. Like I would say intuitively that doom scrolling is worse than hiking, but or maybe they are the same. I don't know. But
I have my opinion.
Yeah, no, but so that's not perfect. But I hope like in a world where we have TikTok times 100 that we would think about the fact that we're not actually creating anything.
So changing topics, we both went to EAG, and that was interesting. For those who don't know, EAG is like the Effective Altruism Global Conference or something. A bunch of people so Effective Altruism is basically a movement where it got kind of famous when Sam Bankman-Fried got in jail, and he was a big proponent of it. And the general idea is that you should allocate your money in effective ways. So basically, don't go to the first charity that you see and give money to that. You should actually do your research on which charities do the most good for the least amount of money. And I think there's pretty good evidence that some charities are like 1,000 times more effective. So you can spend $10 on one charity, and that gives you as much outcome as spending 10,000 on another charity. That is a very hard thing to quantify because probably, there's like what is value in a charity. So basically, like one example people give is like, okay, but if you save someone who's stuck at sea and you need like 10 different helicopters to look for them, that might be super expensive, and you save one life compared to like buying 1 million malaria nets and saving so many people from malaria for the same money. And that's basically what EA is, effective altruism. And then so we are somewhat adjacent related to this with our company. We do AI safety, and a big part of EA lately has been AI safety, because
the biggest,
by far the biggest. Because yeah, many of them believe that AI will be a very big threat to, and we do as well. So yeah, what's your, because I've been kind of related to AI, or like I've agreed with many of the philosophies for maybe 10 years or something, but you're kind of new to this crowd. What is your relationship to AI?
Yeah, I am new. I guess I don't, before EAG, before we went there, like my relationship was AI safety, which I guess I didn't connect too much to EA when I thought about AI safety. And then also like I read some things, like some Peter Singer, like who is the founder, right? Kind of, you can say, or of the ideas.
I'm not sure, but he's a big part of it at least.
He's like I guess he is the philosopher that coined or started many of the ideas. I think that surrounds EA. Like read a bit of that, like very little, but yeah. So I guess you could say that I have very little exposure to EA, but knew what it was. And yeah, I think the experience after EAG is like, it's cool. Like it's such a mix of ideas that you wouldn't think exist under one framework. So just for context, there's like the AI safety, which was like 80-90% of everything that happened there was AI safety. It was also in the Bay Area, so I think there are a lot of AI people here. But there is the mix of AI safety, and then you have animal welfare, which I'm also like really interested in, which is like an interesting mix, just starting with that. But yeah, it's just a lot of people that have thought really hard about these things. I can
what
say
were your
that
takeaways?
Yeah, people are very concerned about AI safety. It's a very short take. We are to some extent as well. People are very open to meet new people. I think I was surprised at how approachable people were. Someone you sort of know or know about, someone who's like semi-famous in the AI safety space, would definitely take a one-on-one with you for 30 minutes. I think that's pretty rare. So I think that's one of the like big takeaways for me. Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah, I read Peter Singer and got pretty convinced like 10 years ago, but I never really engaged with the community. I think that was partly because I feel like the community is bit, I'm reluctant to say it, but like too negative, or like it makes sense to be negative because it's like my P do more like probability that AI will just kill the entire world is significantly high. Like it's like I don't know exactly, but it's like maybe 10% or something. And this is like huge. It's like if this is true, then there would, and like it's the thing I work with. So, but like that, then everyone should work with that. Like 10% that humanity dies. So that people are concerned, but like I don't feel that in my heart for some reason. It's weird. My logical brain accepts that it's probably like something like 10%. But then my heart is not scared at all. And that is weird. And then I've not really felt at home at these meetups because I'm simultaneously really excited about AI progress, which it feels like you're not really allowed to be. And like I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to be that excited about it when I add on my logic.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I haven't really engaged with the community that much. Yeah, in the previous years. But now, like I agree, like now I've done it, and I think I've maybe gotten over the hurdle of people being negative, and I see it's very reasonable to be negative. And also, like there's another aspect of it. Like before, I'm always very. I don't want to be associated with like a group. Like when I don't know, I was an intern at Google, and then we got all of this merch, and we got a really nice backpack, and I felt it was super cringe to have a Google backpack. So so I removed the logo. Like I spent like maybe an hour to remove the logo from the backpack, so I could still wear the backpack without the logo because I didn't want to be associated with the group. And like in the same way, I didn't want to be part of the group, but now when everyone hates EA because of like the controversy with everyone doesn't hate EA, but like the reputation is much worse than it once was, and now I'm like I can wear an EA shirt because it feels kind of I don't know provocatory or or fun, and then I'm okay being part of a group, I guess. So that's a bit weird.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think also, so but I'm not like sure that I 100%. So I was very sure when I read Peter Singer the first time that this sounds super reasonable. Like surely it's better to save 1 million people from malaria rather than one person from drowning at sea in their like millions of dollar boat. But then, like as I've grown older, I think I've like, I'm more open to other perspectives, I guess, which is everyone does when they get older, and I see the unreasonable. Like I think Tucker Carlson when he interviewed Sam Bankman-Fried from prison, which by the way was
very
a crazy,
interesting interview, crazy interview, the muffin economy. Which he talked about. I recommend listening to it actually. It feels a bit weird to recommend a Tucker Carlson podcast, but it was crazy. It was like, you get an insight into how prisons sort of work.
Yeah, but he questioned the fact that EA has the philosophy of putting people in like other countries before the people in your closest circles. And this is weird. This is like not how humans operate. And of course, it's not how I operate either. If I could save one person close to me compared to like one person on the other side of the world, yes, I would do that. But I think it's not that like when you add the numbers and it's like 1 million versus 1, then it's very hard to to make the case for the one person.
Yeah, it feels like there's definitely like a scale on how determined you can be on that you need to save as many as possible. I think it sounds very reasonable that you have some exceptions. I'm sure that some people don't have any exceptions at all. I mean, I know some other people do. But I mean, it makes sense. Like if we're sort of emotional beings, so I think it makes sense.
Yeah. True, but it's also like I don't know it came to like the other day I was walking down the street in Stockholm with my friend, and there was like someone with hardship, a beggar at the street, and he had like drawn a very nice picture or something, and my friend got like very emotional because the sign was so nicely designed or something like that, and then she really wanted to give money to that person. But the other like 5 people that we passed, it doesn't make sense. Like the emotional, I mean, it does make sense because we are emotional beings. But why did she pass 5 people and didn't think about it? But then one had like a good sign, and then that person deserves money more than the others. I think it's kind of sober to have a more put your emotions to the side when you decide who gets the aid and who doesn't.
Yeah.
But it feels very bad as a human.
Yeah, I agree in that scenario. I think it, like the example that Tucker had in his podcast is like you have a family member or like someone close to you, like a friend. Then, I mean, applying that argument doesn't intuitively, emotionally, doesn't make sense, right? So. Yeah,
there is an aspect here though that like you know how to help your family friend. I think this was Sam's argument as well. I don't really remember, but it's a classic EA counter argument. Like you know how to help your friend or your family members, so then it's actually more effective to help them because then you can probably spend less money. Because there's so many like I don't know like big projects in Africa where the white people the white knights come to save the people, and then they just don't understand the culture, and it's super weird and bad, and they should have studied the culture before they got there basically. And from that perspective, it's like effective altruism. Yeah, it's more effective to save the people in the closest to you because you know them better. But
Yeah.
Did you have any other thoughts about the Tucker Carlson Sam Bankman-Fried interview?
Ooh, no, not really. It was just absurd, and
it really was
recommended. Yeah, it was part of his plan, right, to come out as right-wing Republican supporter, to get pardoned by Donald Trump.
Probably.
So it's.
I don't know if that's a work in progress or if it's considered a fail, but
yeah. Let's see how he does. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Maybe some world news. We had Llama 4 release. We had public market crashing, and how is that affecting us and other startups? Some EU regulations that got reworked. Where do you want to go? Apple Intelligence failing on on a bunch of stuff.
I'm actually interested. I would love to hear your take on Llama 4, because we discussed the fact that Llama 4 or Llama in general now isn't really the open source go-to model, and why that happened. So I know you have some thoughts here.
Yeah, I don't think it's my thoughts actually. I read an excellent post by Nathan Lambert on his Substack, and he basically made the point that making the best open source model is not about making the model that kills all the benchmarks. It's about making the most general model that developers can add to and then create good models from, basically. So I think the benchmarks were kind of impressive for Llama 4, or like not amazing, but quite impressive.
Yep.
However, they are not really meant for being the base to 100 different fine tunes, basically. And that's how the Llama model started. Like the first Llama model came out and people built like Alpaca, they distilled GPT-4 from it, and it created like the Alpaca, and then you had like small models running on a Raspberry Pi, and it was just this crazy wave. And Llama 1 was never really used as it is, but it was like the base for a bunch of very interesting fine tunes. And the same with Llama 2 and also Llama 3. Llama 3 kind of died out a bit because, or maybe not died out, but like the Quen models came and were better. And for us, when we're training models now, we're using the Quen models, and it has been kind of the standard since they came out. And it's so convenient. You have the 0.5B model, which you can run small experiments on. And then once your small experiments seem to work, you can just like upgrade to 1.5. And you have these like incremental increases. And as a developer, building on top of them as a platform, it's way more interesting to have these like fine-grained small models that are kind of the same, rather than have like, because what Llama 4 now is, there's 3 different models. They are all very different in terms of what they do. It's like some mixture of expert, and the number of experts are super different, and like the parameter count is huge, so you can't really use them to fine tune anything.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. But maybe just Llama didn't think they could actually beat Quen. I don't know. That might be the explanation.
I think I think the other viewpoint to this on like why they're doing it is that they want to cater to enterprises. Like maybe they don't care that much about like small developers that wanna, which is maybe not I'm not saying it's right, but maybe they wanna cater to the ones that wanna host their own model, that can get like a small cluster of GPUs, and they don't want to run cloud hosted models, and they still want a state of the art model. So maybe that's like the sort of audience they're going after. And it seems like a good model. Maybe benchmarks were somewhat gamed. We don't know really, but yeah, I like that's the only explanation I can see, or just mismanagement, like wrong KPIs, basically.
Yeah, so, I guess you're right. The open source community is not super happy, but I guess those are not the main drivers of money for Meta. So it's probably not.
Maybe they are, because it like starts with the developers, I guess, if you're at a company.
Yeah.
But so yeah,
it's unfortunate that because it feels like they gave up, and now Quen is going to be the standard for a while until someone picks up that mantle. But it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm team America if the options are America versus China, and the Quen model seems better, and or like more catered to developers, and there's rumors that Quen 3 is around the corner, and then they will be even stronger, and maybe we don't see Facebook or Meta picking up that fight again.
Yeah, like what is Meta's play here really? Like how long do you think they can just continue on this trajectory of like, which seems to be state of the art sort of, but open source for free?
I don't know. Like they are now like integrating all of this into WhatsApp and Messenger and all the services, and in that sense, like I don't see why they open source it. Like small models you can open source to allow developers to build upon them, but like a 2 trillion parameter model, who is going to be able to use that? Or I guess like other companies. Other companies, I guess, could use it if they have a big cluster and they can fine tune it. And then the Llama license is interesting because everything you fine tune on the Llama models, you have to say like the name of the model that you get out from that fine tune needs to be something with Llama, or like built on Llama or something. So maybe it's like a marketing thing. If they think that, I don't know, Salesforce or something like that, or Perplexity or some company that has a lot of GPUs, they might build on top of it, and then they say built by Llama, and then they become like, they get advertisement for free, or like not free because they had to train models, but maybe that's the play.
Maybe. I guess it's like you said, like they integrate it in their product, so it like still has the value. It still has value for them. They are not aiming to be the like model API provider. So
makes sense. Yeah. In other news, we had the market crash. People ask me, does it affect us as a startup in general? What are your thoughts?
No.
Okay, next question. I think I saw some people talk about, or like this is true, like if you're low on cash, I guess, and you need to raise more money.
I will maybe eat this up in like, I don't know, whenever we need to raise again.
No, doesn't affect us.
And then I'll be in deep trouble.
Yeah. yeah, so our runway is very, very, very long. So hopefully, hopefully we don't need to raise anytime soon. But if we do, then yeah, basically the startups that might be affected are the ones that soon need to raise money, because when markets go down, then there will be less money for VCs to spread around, and then they might be in trouble. So I think that's maybe one.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how like the general excitement around AI changes, if it changes after this, because now it feels like it's just been a few days of really turbulent times, so it's like too early to say. But if like the crazy VC hype around AI, like if it sort of goes down, which I don't think it's necessary that it will die down. It could also be that it's just stock market turbulence and private markets stay fine. I'm not sure if that even happens. If that's maybe they are too interconnected. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. I feel like it. I definitely feel that. I mean, the models are still getting better at the trajectory we think they should be getting better. It's getting really, really useful in coding. So like I don't see like the technical stuff change, and that's like enough for me to feel a sort of
although if
okay about it.
Although, like Dario said like 3 weeks ago, before all of these crazy market things happened, something like if capital isn't as available, that will affect AI speed, because we need capital to, and you wouldn't see the effects of that yet. So basically, if capital stops now, or like stopped 1 week ago, then you wouldn't have seen, if the model stopped developing like that, you would see the effect maybe 6 months down the line, when those models that couldn't be trained now would have been released, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and it's actually a bit interesting. Like, given if you have the compute, or if the labs have the compute that they have right now, like I still have sort of a feeling that it would take maybe a bit more time, but we would still be able to progress quite quickly, because maybe it's not. It seems like pre-training sort of has stopped, so it's just about getting your research ideas tested, it seems, and they can still do that. But yeah, then it's just funding the whole operation, which might be more difficult. So yeah, maybe it will be tougher that way.
Yeah. Do you have a take on Apple Intelligence? I know you're so Axel, for background, Axel is like a huge Apple fanboy, and has finally converted me to go over to a Mac. But I'm not super impressed by Apple Intelligence to be honest.
I think no one is. Yeah, it's.
Is this extension for Apple? Like, would they be the next? Like, I think Marcus Brownlee did a video where he was like, Nokia was the biggest hardware phone maker in the world, and they are super irrelevant because they missed a shift. Do you think there's a chance that Apple is the next one because they missed the AI?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they have missed it, because it's still too early. Like, people are still on their phones. But it's concerning. Like, it's really concerning if they can't get this right. What's happening with their developers? Like, what's happening with their organization if they can't get first levels of like Apple Intelligence AI right? I think that's concerning. I don't think it's that difficult technically to catch up now. Like, all the things that they presented seems really like, it seems easy to do, to be honest. Like, you could get it, or you could get an MVP running in a hackathon project, but then maybe it's getting the final, the final 99.99% that Apple really needs, because they can't release something that doesn't work that well, because they will, we'll have Sydney all over again or something. So I think I feel like I feel like they should be able to catch up, but I'm also concerned that they will miss something here. I would be happy if I were some kind of hardware, AI hardware company, and I was thinking about like the next form factor or how to interact with
like
AI.
Rabbit R1 or
like Rabbit R1, but if you do it correctly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because now everyone is like, you're using ChatGPT on your Mac or on your iPhone, but if that changes, then it's tough. Or if the UI changes, because to some extent hardware seems kind of easy to do. Like there are a lot of phone companies out there that do really good hardware. For some reason, PCs, maybe design isn't easy because PCs still look really ugly, apparently. But I think, like, my impression is, I'm not nowhere an expert on this, but it just seems like there are a lot of these phone companies that you see, especially from China, and they have really, like, their phones look pretty cool. So it seems like if you can figure out some kind of like 10x software improvement, like OpenAI launches some kind of super personal assistant that, then you don't have to use iOS basically. Then I think they could definitely compete with Apple seriously, and I think it would be difficult to catch up.
Okay, let's hope you're right. Now that I converted to Mac.
Let's hope I'm right. That
no, that they
what?
Oh, let's hope they don't die. Now that I got my Mac and my phone and all of this, then I don't want to have to change ecosystem once again.
If they die, there will be another company to
I guess if they die, that's because someone else did something better, and that's I guess good for consumers. So not too worried about it. Okay, cool. Thanks so much for chatting with me, more with me, and we will later tonight as well. So, great chat and
great being on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Bye bye.
Bye bye.